नमस्कार विद्यार्थी मित्रांनो, हसत खेळत केमिस्ट्री लर्निंग प्लॅटफॉर्म मध्ये आपणा सर्वांचे पुनश्च एकदा स्वागत आहे. We are discussing the chemical bonding chapter and we have studied 3 lectures and now the lecture number 4 we have to study chemical bond. In the chemical bond there are 5 types of chemical bond. First one is the electrovalent or ionic bond, covalent bond, coordinate covalent bond, hydrogen bond and dative bond. We have studied in the last lecture, that is the ionic bond, and now we have to study the covalent bond. We have to study the covalent bond. Covalent bond, there are types of covalent bond and the characteristics of the covalent compounds and the examples of the covalent compounds. These points we have to study here now. Next, what is the covalent bond? The bond which is formed by the mutual sharing of electrons between two similar or dissimilar atoms, that is called a covalent bond. There is a mutual sharing of electron between the two similar or dissimilar atoms, that bond is formed, that bond is called a covalent bond, and the compound containing this type of bond are called a covalent compound. Okay? There is a mutual sharing of electron between the two atoms, means one atom is given one electron, then another atom will given the one electron, and these two electron can form a one bond. That bond is called a covalent bond, that is the mutual sharing of electron between the atom. That atom may be similar or the dissimilar, and the compounds containing this type of bond are called a covalent कंपाउंड्स. म्हणजे अशा कोव्हॅलंट बॉन्ड जर प्रेझेंट असतील कंपाउंड मध्ये, दॅट कंपाउंड्स आर कॉल्ड कोव्हॅलंट कंपाउंड्स. There are 3 types of covalent bond. One is a single covalent bond, second one is the double covalent bond, and third one is the triple covalent bond. We have to study one by one. Next one, single covalent bond. We have to study the single covalent bond when one electron pair, that is the two electron, is shared between the atoms of similar or dissimilar elements. The bond formed is called a single covalent bond. Means there is a sharing of pair of electron between two atoms. That atom may be similar or dissimilar. Means each atom can share one electron, means the one pair is shared between the two atoms, that is called सिंगल कोव्हॅलंट बॉन्ड. म्हणजे एक बॉन्ड फॉर्म होण्यासाठी दोन इलेक्ट्रॉन लागतात, आणि दोन इलेक्ट्रॉन काय होत असतात, एक ॲटम एक इलेक्ट्रॉन देतो, दुसरा ॲटम एक इलेक्ट्रॉन देतो, त्या दोन इलेक्ट्रॉन पासून काय एक बॉन्ड तयार होतो, दॅट इज कॉल्ड अ सिंगल कोव्हॅलंट bond. For example, the formation of chlorine molecule, Cl2 molecule. The atomic number of chlorine is 17. Atomic number है 17. First orbit contains the 2 electron, second orbit contains the 8 electron, and last orbit has 7 electron. Means the chlorine require 1 electron to complete the outermost orbit. So the one chlorine has, here the chlorine atom, the last orbit contains the 7 electron. Here second chlorine atom, last orbit contains the 7 electron. Means the one chlorine atom can share one electron, another chlorine atom can share one electron. By mutual sharing of electron between these two chlorine atom, there is a formation of a bond between these atom. That bond is called a सिंगल कोव्हॅलंट बॉन्ड. मीन्स क्लोरीन कडे एक इलेक्ट्रॉन आहे शेअर करतो, दुसरा क्लोरीन एक इलेक्ट्रॉन शेअर करतो, अशा पद्धतीने दोन इलेक्ट्रॉन पासून एक बॉन्ड तयार होतो, दॅट इज द सिंगल कोव्हॅलंट बॉन्ड. द फॉर्मेशन ऑफ क्लोरीन मॉलिक्यूल. तर त्या ठिकाणी फॉर्मेशन ऑफ क्लोरीन मॉलिक्यूल, हाऊ द क्लोरीन मॉलिक्यूल इज फॉर्म्ड. Here the molecules of chlorine consist of two atoms of a chlorine. आता chlorine molecule मध्ये काय, there are two atoms of chlorines are present, and the atomic number of chlorine is 17 and the electronic configuration of chlorine is 287, means first orbit contains the 2 electron, second orbit contains the 8 electron and last orbit contains the 7 electron. Hence it is short of 1 electron to complete the octet, means the chlorine require 1 electron to complete the octet. During the formation of chlorine molecule, each chlorine atom share its 1 electron with other. Thus, the chlorine molecule is formed by mutual sharing of one electron pair between the two chlorine atoms. Hence, there is a single covalent bond is formed between the chlorine atoms, and one chlorine molecule contains the 6 lone pair of electrons and one bond pair electron. See here, the atomic number of chlorine is 17 and last orbit contains the 7 electron, means the each chlorine can share 1 electron from either side, and these 2 electrons are shared between 2 atoms and the bond is formed. That bond is called a covalent bond, and there is a formation of a chlorine molecule by mutual sharing of electron from each atom. That is called a covalent bond. Next, double covalent bond. What is the double covalent bond? When two electron pair, that is the 4 electrons, are shared between the atoms of similar or dissimilar element, the bond formed is called double covalent bond. Means there is a sharing of electron between two atoms, but each atom can share the 2 electrons. Means there is a sharing of 4 electrons between the two atoms, and that is the formation of a double bond compound. That bond is called double covalent bond. For example, oxygen, the atomic number of oxygen is 8, means first orbit contains the 2 electrons, second orbit contains the 6 electrons, means the oxygen is short of 2 electron, or oxygen requires 2 electron to complete the outermost orbit. So the oxygen can share their 2 electrons. See here, the last orbit contains the 6 electron and this oxygen contains the 6 electron in the last orbit, and one oxygen can share 2 electron, another oxygen can share 2 electrons. See here, this oxygen and these 2 electrons of this oxygen, and that 4 electrons are shared between 2 oxygen, and there is a formation of a double bond. For example, formation of oxygen molecule. The molecules of oxygen consist of a two atoms of oxygen. The atomic number of oxygen is 8. So the electronic configuration is first orbit contains the 2 electron and second orbit contains the 6 electron. Hence, the it is short of 2 electrons to complete the octet. During the formation of oxygen molecule, each oxygen atom share its 2 electron with other, means each oxygen can share the 2 electron with one another, and the oxygen molecule is formed by mutual sharing of 2 electron pair between the two oxygen atom, means the each atom can share the 2 electron. So there is a 4 electrons are shared between two atoms, means 2 pair of electrons are shared between two atoms, and there is a formation of a double bond. So the oxygen molecule contains the double bond, and that compounds are called double bonded compounds. Next one is the triple covalent bond. The triple covalent bond means when three electron pair, that is the 6 electrons, are shared between the atoms of similar and dissimilar elements, the bond formed is called a triple covalent bond. Means there is a 3 pair of electrons are shared between the two atoms. For example, the formation of nitrogen molecule. The atomic number of nitrogen molecule is 7. The first orbit contains the 2 electron and second orbit contains the 5 electrons. So each nitrogen can share its 3 electrons, means 3 pair of electrons are shared between the two nitrogen atoms, and the bond formed, that bond is a triple covalent bond. For example, The formation of a triple covalent bonded compound, that is the nitrogen molecule. The molecules of nitrogen consist of two atoms of nitrogen, means nitrogen molecule contains the two atoms of nitrogen. The atomic number of nitrogen is 7. The electronic configuration is first orbit contains the 2 electrons and second orbit contains the 5 electrons. So the 3 electrons are short to complete the octet of the nitrogen. So during the formation of nitrogen molecule, each nitrogen atom share its 3 electrons with other. Thus, the nitrogen molecule is formed by mutual sharing of 3 electron pair between the two nitrogen, and the nitrogen two nitrogen means काय nitrogen मध्ये काय 3 electron pair share होत असतात. Hence there is a 3 covalent bonds are formed. Nitrogen molecule contains the 2 lone pair of electrons and 3 bond pair of electrons. Means या ठिकाणी काय nitrogen contains the 2 lone pair of electron and 3 bond pair. Here the nitrogen last orbit contains the 5 electrons. So these 3 electrons can share with another nitrogen atom, and these 3 electron of nitrogen can share with another nitrogen atom. Then there is a 3 lone pair of electrons, means 6 electrons are shared between two atoms of a nitrogen, and triple covalent bond compound is formed, means triple covalent bond is formed. The polar and non-polar covalent bond. The polar कोणला म्हणतात आणि non-polar कोणला म्हणतात? The polar and non-polar covalent bond. When a bond is formed between dissimilar atoms, the bonding electrons will not be equally shared. तर काय होतं त्या ठिकाणी polar bond कुठले असतात? When bond formed between the two dissimilar atoms, म्हणजे दोन वेगवेगळ्या atom मध्ये जर bond form झाला असेल, that is bonding electron will not be equally shared. त्या ठिकाणी काय bonding electron equal sharing होत नाही. That bond is called polar covalent bond. And non-polar covalent bond means when a bond is formed between similar atom, the bonding electrons are shared equally. तर त्या ठिकाणी काय सेम इलेक्ट्रॉन असतील किंवा सिमिलर ॲटम असतील, सिमिलर ॲटम मध्ये काय होत असते, इलेक्ट्रॉन्स आर शेअर्ड इक्वल, बट that is called a non-polar covalent bond. And another one is the atom dissimilar atom, the bond formed between the dissimilar atom, then bonding electron will not be shared equally, so that bond is called a polar covalent bond. The resulting bond formed is polar covalent bond, means if the dissimilar atoms form a bond, that is called a polar covalent bond, and if the similar atoms are formed, that bond is called a non-polar covalent bond. For example, water molecule is a non-polar covalent bonded compound. Ammonia, HF and HCl, these are the polar covalent bonded compound, and the hydrogen molecule, chlorine molecule, nitrogen molecule, these are the non-polar covalent bond compounds. The characteristics of covalent compounds. Bad conductor of heat and electricity, means covalent compounds are bad conductor of heat and electricity, and they are insoluble in a polar solvent like water, and soluble in a organic solvent like a benzene, carbon tetrachloride, etc. Means these are the insoluble in polar solvent. Covalent compounds are insoluble in polar solvent, but these are soluble in organic solvent like benzene, carbon tetrachloride, etc. They exist mostly in a gaseous and liquid state. Means covalent compounds are present in a gaseous or liquid state. The covalent compounds are soft, easily fusible and volatile. Right? Covalent compounds are soft, easily fusible and volatile. And last one is they have low melting point and boiling point. These are the some characteristics of the covalent compounds. अशा पद्धतीने आपण कोव्हॅलंट कंपाऊंड म्हणजे कोव्हॅलंट बॉन्ड म्हणजे काय, कोव्हॅलंट बॉन्डमध्ये फर्स्ट मीन्स सिंगल कोव्हॅलंट बॉन्ड, डबल कोव्हॅलंट बॉन्ड अँड ट्रिपल कोव्हॅलंट बॉन्ड पाहिलेले आहे. त्यांचे एक्झाम्पल पाहिलेले आहे. कोव्हॅलंट कंपाऊंड कशाला म्हणतात ते पाहिलेले आहे. पोलार कोव्हॅलंट बॉन्ड आणि नॉन पोलार कोव्हॅलंट बॉन्ड कशाला म्हणतात आणि डिफरन्स बिटवीन दी पोलार कोव्हॅलंट बॉन्ड अँड नॉन पोलार कोव्हॅलंट बॉन्ड हे सुद्धा आपण या ठिकाणी पाहिलेलं आहे. त्यानंतर कॅरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ कोव्हॅलंट कंपाऊंड हे पाहिलेलं आहे. आशा करतो हा व्हिडिओ तुम्हाला नक्की आवडला असेल. लाईक करा, शेअर करा, सबस्क्राईब करा. धन्यवाद.